When Stephanie heard her children arguing about their inheritance, she decided to change her will ultimately to help another person she met at the hospital. Her children cut off their mother for good, but Stephanie was shockingly not alone anymore. Stephanie walked the hallways of a hospital in New York to clear her head. She got admitted after a bad angina case, and she liked seeing people. She was a wealthy widow and still received royalties from her late husband's best-selling books. But she didn't have the best relationship with her kids, Amelia and Mark. Amelia got married against Stephanie's wishes. Her current husband was a clear gold digger who didn't love Amelia at all. But he sweet-talked her into marriage, got her pregnant, and there was nothing Stephanie could do for her daughter, so Amelia never visited her mother. Meanwhile, Mark was allegedly always busy at work, but Stephanie suspected that he didn't want to bother with his old mother. But they were visiting now, and at first, Stephanie was delighted to see her kids. Amelia even brought one of her children to see her, which was terrific. However, her joy didn't last long. A few hours earlier, when Amelia and Mark thought she was sleeping, they started talking about selling her house and how to divide their inheritance. They never even discussed helping Stephanie when she was released from the hospital. They both hoped she would die, and they would finally get the considerable amount of money in her account. Now, the older woman had to think, and she walked around the hospital while her kids stayed back in her room. Suddenly, Stephanie stopped. She heard the distinctive cries of a child in a room and peeked through the open door. A boy, who couldn't be older than 11 years old, was sitting next to a hospital bed. A sleeping woman was lying there, and the child was crying. "Hey," Stephanie said softly to avoid waking the woman and entered the room further. "Hey, boy. Are you okay?" "No," the boy replied, looking up. "My mom is sick." Stephanie got closer and looked at the unconscious woman. "What does she have?" "I don't know, but the doctors said she needs some treatment." "We can't pay for that. We have to leave tomorrow," he answered and looked at his mother through his tear-stained face. "What's your name, kid?" "Patrick. And my mom is Rachel," the boy responded. "I'm Stephanie. Do you know what treatment she needs? Can you call someone else in your family?" the older woman asked. "No. We don't have any other family. My mom got sick because she works 2 jobs to support us, and now, I don't know what to do. I have to find work too to pay for this, right? And we need to pay for rent too." No, you're a child. You shouldn't have to work. Your job is to go to school, get good grades, and be a good kid, alright? Let me see what I can do about your mom," Stephanie promised and exited the room after Patrick nodded. For some unexplainable reason, she had decided to help this family. This boy was so worried about his mother and couldn't do anything. But he was there by her side, not discussing what he was going to do with her money when she died. Stephanie went to the nurse's station and asked about paying for the woman's treatment. They gave her the information, and she immediately called her lawyer. Mr. Goldberg came to her hospital room, and the older woman asked her kids to wait outside during their discussion. But little did she know that they were eavesdropping on them. She told her lawyer to revise her will so each of her kids would receive $5,000 each and wouldn't be able to contest it. They were also getting her house because she had already transferred it to both of them before hearing them talking so callously about her. But everything else would be transferred to Rachel and Patrick. The single mom and her kid would start receiving the royalties from her late husband's books and the considerable amount of money on her bank accounts when she died. Stephanie also arranged for Mr. Goldberg to look for a decent new house for her to live in. She wanted to offer Rachel and Patrick a new home but knew her kids would be furious when they discovered what she had done. Suddenly, they both burst into the room when Mr. Goldberg finished writing all her requests down. "Mother. What's going on? You can't disinherit us just like that. Dad's royalties belong to us," Amelia yelled, not caring that they were in a hospital. Mark joined in too. "Yeah, you're going to give your money to some strange kid you just met." "Who does that?" "I do that. Because I'm just crazy like that. You both never needed me in your lives. You never called me for Christmas. You never visited after moving out, and now, you're here. I heard you talking about your plans for the money. Well then, you are not getting it. There's an 11-year-old boy out there worrying that he will have to work to pay for his mother's treatment. That's love, and it's worth so much," Stephanie screamed back at her kids. "Fine. We're going to sell the house, and you can't stop us," Amelia yelled once again and stormed out of the room. Mark followed after giving his mother an awful look. "Anyway, Mr. Goldberg. Let's continue our plans, please," Stephanie said calmly as if that dreadful scene didn't just happen. She had not only disinherited her kids financially but emotionally as well. The lawyer transferred the money so that Rachel could receive her treatment. And luckily, she got better. Patrick was by her side every day, and Stephanie got a chance to introduce herself to the woman. Due to a lack of rent payment, Rachel and Patrick lost their apartment as they had a horrible landlord. But Stephanie had just bought a new house and needed help moving. "I can offer you 2 rooms in my house, as long as you help me move in. It's a brand new place," the older woman said. "Of course, and I'll pay rent too," Rachel said, getting dressed as she was finally getting released from the hospital. Gold digger drains money from a broke boyfriend, then he teaches her a lesson. Cab driver kicks out woman whose water broke, gets letter from birth center later. Poor boy pays for old lady's groceries, his granny gets $230,000 to pay for treatment days later. Nonsense. "Your company is all I need, although help around the house would be amazing," she joked. "Deal," Rachel said, and Patrick smiled at both women. Stephanie never saw her kids again, but she formed a new family with the single mother and her child. She received more love from them in her remaining years than she ever did from Amelia and Mark. What can we learn from this story? Family has nothing to do with biology. You can be biologically related, but that doesn't make a family. Love makes a family. Money is not everything. Mark and Amelia were more concerned about the money than their mother's well-being. Then they lost everything. Share this story with your friends. It might brighten their day and inspire them. This account is inspired by our reader's story and written by a professional writer. Any resemblance to actual names or locations is purely coincidental. All images are for illustration purposes only. Share your story with us, maybe it will change someone's life. If you would like to share your story, please send it to info@amamama.com.